Welcome to CSL TV. I just hope you guys are having a beautiful, blessed day. And as you guys can see, these Detroit teens were sitting up to 20 years in prison for attempting to rob a uniformed cop at a Joy Road gas station. And as you guys can see, the two suspects was charged in connection for attempted theft of an off-duty Detroit police officer that was dressed in full uniform. Now, the 16-year-old and 17-year-old are both from Detroit and was charged as an adult of June 2023. And according to authorities, the incident happened at the BP gas station on Joy in Southfield. Now Henderson robbed the officer while the other guy pointed a gun at the officer, which the officer eventually gained control, and then they fled the scene according to the news release. Now, as you can see what they was charged with, and that's just sad that these young men throw their life away for a fucking gun.
This story out of Washington State is tragic, and we have to warn you, the details may be upsetting. This is 38-year-old Juan Alvarado and his wife, 39-year-old Cecilia Robles. They'd reportedly been experiencing relationship issues and were considering breaking up. They had 3 kids, and a couple of weeks ago, they were home with their 11-year-old son while he was playing video games. He was wearing headphones and seemingly didn't hear when an argument broke out. Juan and Cecilia got into a fight that quickly turned violent. In the middle of the altercation, Juan was stabbed multiple times in the chest while Cecilia was stabbed and shot. Son, unaware of what was happening, continued playing his game, oblivious to the horrific events unfolding just feet away. It wasn't until he removed his headphones and came out that he found his parents, both dead, lying on the kitchen floor. He called 911 immediately, but by the time help arrived, it was too late. Paramedics couldn't save them. Investigators later discovered the gun had been stolen from Juan's employer and had only been reported missing after the tragedy. Police still don't know who started the fight, and there are no indications of anyone else involved. How f***ed up is it that in the richest country in the world, nearly half of the 60 million Americans who need mental health support can't get it because they can't afford it? We can bail out banks and fund endless wars, but apparently we can't make sure people get the mental health care they need before things get this bad.
Now that is crazy that this young man, had to see his parents on the ground bleeding everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all was that toxic for each other that y'all did this to each other. And it's sad that he don't have a mother or a father that loves him to take care of him, because they were too selfish in their own ways. That, I mean, I just can't get this wrapped around my head. Like, what would make people be this violent towards each other that you take each other's life? You know, and this is why domestic violence should be talked about more than you hear about it, and you don't really hear about it. So why isn't this a subject or a topic or something that people need to bring more light on, to bring awareness, to bring this and that, so folks know, hey, if you're going through something, you're not in this alone. There's people out here that's willing to help, talk to you, help you, get you the right resources so you won't have to be experiencing what this kid is experiencing. Now you don't have a mother or father because of their own selfish needs. So if y'all know anybody that's in a toxic situation, do something. Help them out if you really care and love them, because it can simply end up like this.
This story out of New York is shocking, and we have to warn you, the details are gruesome. This is 20-year-old Dinah Saxon, a successful male model who'd walked runways and appeared in international campaigns for the likes of Vogue, Calvin Klein, and Levi's. He'd even recently attended movie premieres for big movies like Deadpool and Wolverine and The Batman. But now, that's all over. Just after 2 p.m. Sunday, neighbors in this apartment complex in the Bronx heard banging in the hallway. They say it sounded like a fight, but no words were exchanged. When police arrived, they found 35-year-old Kadeem Grant, father to a 3-year-old girl, with a knife lodged in his chest and deep cuts on his hands and feet. He was rushed to the hospital but didn't survive. The next day, Saxon was arrested. He's sitting behind bars accused of killing the 35-year-old dad. His mother claims he doesn't even remember what happened, insisting he's not a killer and that it's, quote, not going to be as simple as it looks. She says Dynas was young, not an aggressor, and had been out of work for months, mostly walking around with headphones on, lost in his own world. This tragedy leaves Kadim's daughter to grow up without a father and his family devastated. Critics say this is a reminder that violent crime often happens in communities where resources are scarce, where people are struggling just to get by. According to the Poor People's Campaign, 140 million Americans are either living in poverty or one crisis away from it. People ask, what would crime look like in our country if everyone had their basic needs like housing, healthcare, and a stable income covered? This situation is tragic for both families involved. One son lost, another facing prison time, all while the system that failed to prevent it stays the same.
Now that got to be the most crazy, disturbing thing to hear, that your son allegedly killed you, or just anybody hear that somebody kid allegedly stabbed and killed them. And I wonder why this all escalated into what it did, because it sounds like, he was going through some things and mentally he probably wasn't handling it well, and maybe the father was on him tough, and a lot of folks think violence is the way to solve things, when violence really is just going to put you in more trouble and more, heartbreak than you already in. But if he allegedly did this, the truth will come out, and the right person, the right people will find and get answers. Definitely with today's technology and all the stuff, the forensic shit that we have now. So hopefully he is innocent, because you wouldn't want this to be on you and have all your whole family and everybody else, your kid at that, looking at you as a killer when, you're not the one that did it. So if you didn't do it, hopefully justice is served the right way and they find out who did it. But the light is shining too much on you of the one who had did this.